All right. Joining me now, I think for the fourth time, Bryan
Third
from
or
the
fourth.
yeah,
Yeah.
third or fourth, whatever. I've never been good at math. Bryan Taylor from the past podcast. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. A lot of nothing, but a lot of productivity, man. I think each time we do an interview, something new has happened.
Yeah,
So
well, full disclosure, before the podcast started, I'm not going to go into details. I don't want to, freak our, listeners out, but I've been fighting an infection, but I'm good now, but I'm just saying that's what I've been up to. Like
yeah,
for those that have these antibiotics, they can cause some crazy side effects. So
right,
that's what I've been up to.
right,
But
right.
what about you? What have you been up to?
Literally creating content, everything. So today has been ironically like right before we started. I didn't need to, but I added a profile on my phone for I'm doing what's called deep focus or
You're
deep
doing
work.
you're doing what?
Deep focus. It's either some people call it deep focus, some people call it deep work. It's a
What is
book by
that?
Cal. So Cal Newport wrote a book kind of explaining it where you basically want to get in the mindset of, okay, I know I need to do whatever this thing is. So if
Mm-hmm.
that means I need
Hold
to
on, let me
eliminate
fix.
any distractions,
All right.
or make
There we
any
go. Got it
adjustments,
fixed. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, no, you good. Or anything that's like in your kind of battling what you're working on, like remove those things and then focus on whatever that thing is you need to do. So, like for instance, as tech people, I mean, we're in a social media society in so many words. So a lot of times our habits are, hey, I got to check this notification. Hey, I need to see what's going on in the world of the internet or whatever. And we'll look at whatever's on there, and a couple seconds turns into like a 10-minute log of you didn't work on whatever it is you need to work on. So
Mm-hmm.
starting that off, I should have did it early this morning because it would have got me more prepared for like my evening, but
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. So
We
yeah,
can
I'm
dive
good,
more
man.
in, we can dive more into that at the end of the podcast,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
absolutely, no doubt, for
uh
sure.
let's talk some sports. This is what the episode, is sports talk with
Yep.
the past. We didn't really talk about soccer much, in
Hmm.
our past episode, so I kind of want to lead off with that. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
So
I caught like I caught a good clip of the penalty kicks at the end
yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah,
women's match.
yeah.
So
That was an unfortunate, you know. I had no idea they were going to go out that early, but
right,
USA lost to Sweden. That's unfortunate, but that one at I just saw it myself, and that wasn't a save. That was a good effort by that goalie.
right,
A
yeah,
lot of like, I know she's on the or on the World
on
Cup
their main
team, but
team,
like
yeah,
still that save is like ridiculous. The fact that she even came that close is
right.
like unheard of.
Yeah, no, it was a definite like nail biter because I mean it was literally nil the whole way, and then when they
Mm-hmm.
went to extra time, I'm like, the team was trying to pretty much like deplete their bench, but they were depleting for the sake of like a lot of them who were coming in were gonna likely be taking the shots for the penalty kick. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So we are both avid Chelsea fans, correct? Are you still?
yeah, yeah, still with
Let's.
Chelsea, man.
So, how did you start being a fan of Chelsea?
So my Chelsea backstory goes back to 2012, 2013. Um, and this is gonna be it's wild how it all pans out now because at the time I would have never thought it. But I was a so I'm not I'm not a person who does Android versus iPhone, but at that time I ironically owned a Samsung Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time when Chelsea was playing, they did like a questionnaire, like, okay, who would be your premier team? So I answered all these questions, and sure enough, their sponsor at the time was Samsung. So I rode the wave of Chelsea, and I want to say like a year or two after I became a fan, they won the Premier League because that was when Mourinho was there, and
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of supported the team, and it was even more interesting because here I am like a new Chelsea fan, and my friend who's like a big soccer guy
Yeah.
is like a hardcore Liverpool guy. So like we're good friends, But literally when Liverpool plays Chelsea, it's like we're cool as we need to be, but it's like, all right, on this day at this time, we really ain't rocking with each other, and we cool about it. So
Yeah, what do you think
yeah,
about the new manager coming in, Pochettino?
anything. I mean, right now anything's better than nothing. Like it's almost like we're going through. So everything right now with Chelsea, in my opinion, is all us trying to watch everything from the other owner who was. I mean, we pretty much
You know,
took like a huge
Bryan,
hit from that. Yeah.
Chelsea is a big pile of hot trash
Oh
right
no,
now.
absolutely. But
I
what I'm saying
mean,
is
we
with the
barely, I mean, we beat Fulham, but when I looked at that recap, we didn't play that good against Fulham.
right. But how I'm looking at it now is like last year. I mean, it was to the point where we pretty much were not able to. We couldn't get any players. It was so much like political red tape involved with it, where it was like, look, y'all got a team, but you can't add anybody, you can't subtract anybody. Any funding that you want for the team is cut off. Like because I think he was involved with the Russia stuff. I'm not sure. So that affected our team on every level. And it was like, look, we got to do whatever we can we got to get him out. And by the time they got him out, like a cup not long after, they let the other coach go. Because I mean, we've had like in the last 2 years, we've had 3 managers.
Yeah, yeah, it's like this new guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was I think he coached in PSG, right, with Neymar.
I think so, yeah.
So he coached Neymar. I mean,
Yeah, that's something.
if he can get one of our guys to be like half as good as Neymar,
Right. Well, I mean, like I said,
like that. Who's that kid that scored that? What was his name? Silva, I
yeah,
think.
Silva, yep.
I mean, what do you think about him?
I like Silva. I mean, Silva's been like I'm I'm beginning to understand now, like with Chelsea, there were a lot of guys that we had that did what they did when they were in their prime. Like Willian, I think is still one of the best players we had that just like they let him go, and now I don't even know if I mean he's still playing, but he's
Williams,
also
cool.
older. Yeah, he's older now. So it's like it's kind of like you want to get guys who are young. What's the other kid's name? He played for
I'm not good with player names, Bryan.
United. No, it's because it's another kid we have that came from Man City that like was a big deal.
They're
Um,
good. They went
yeah,
like they won the whole. To switch gears a little bit,
yeah,
what's your thoughts on Messi going to Miami?
money. That was a big money move. That was a
Yeah.
money move, but it was also a good restart for him because him and Beckham have a good relationship anyway.
It was funny you mentioned him because I sent a text to my brother. My brother is like one of the biggest soccer fans in general. Like
Mm-hmm.
I know at least. And he was like, and I asked him to compare the Messi transfer to Beckham transfer, and he's like, "Oh, dude, this is way bigger.
Right. Way
This
big.
is."
No,
I
it
was thinking
definitely
it
is.
was like Beckham when he went to LA back in the day, and
Well,
he's like, "Nah, bro,
the
this."
factor for this is Miami fans are like they're going to get more fans at Inter games just because it's Messi there.
Mm.
Because you got to think the closest that most fans get to seeing Messi in person is when Barcelona or when PSG comes into the tournament, like when they come play like they're friendly offshore. But otherwise, the NBA just has talked about this conversation where they really want to bring like they're trying to have like the NBA be global. I don't know how that would work because unless you have certain teams that are just going to be able to try, like there's going to be a lot of jet lag, a lot of traveling issues you might run into. I think the only reason it's going to delay a little bit is because the COVID rules aren't the same for every country.
You know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
Is people asking about my Jags going to London. I'm like, that's it. That's just not
Hey,
gonna happen.
listen, the Jags doing
Shad Khan.
Jags doing all right, man. Listen, they made the playoffs last
That's my
year.
team, bro. That's my team. I've been a Jag fan. I've been a ride or die Jag fan for years.
Yeah, we got that kid from we got the number 1 pick. I don't know how to
Who's your team? Who's your team again?
Carolina.
Yeah, the Panthers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bryce
Got
Young, yeah, he's a little. Let's talk about that. What do you think about him? I mean, coming out of Alabama, a little undersized.
it's gonna all come down. This is the constant trend with football and quarterbacks. Anyone that knows this about quarterbacks can attest to this. If they have a trash O line, it's just gonna be another. I don't want to compare it because Cam and Bryce are like two different size players, but it's gonna be like right, it's gonna be like Cam Newton all over again, where he's trying to run for as many yards as he can. And yeah, you can be a mobile quarterback, but if you're running against an O lineman that can, I mean, a defensive lineman that can literally get from the middle hash to the right or left,
Mm-hmm.
you in trouble. Like quarterbacks now need like you want to have good footwork as far as getting down the field, but you also got to be able to like sustain being in the pocket at least 5 seconds, at
Mm-hmm.
least. And that's a stretch. I'm because I'm not a. I
Yeah,
mean, obviously, I'm not a professional
and
quarterback, but
every year it's become more of a passing league, so
oh yeah, absolutely,
it's even more prevalent now.
right.
Um, Speaking of rules changing, what's your thoughts on the safety those little home not I don't know why I said that, but um the foam helmets they're wearing in
Mhm.
practice?
Yeah,
What's your
the
thoughts
little
on
padding.
those?
I think the NFL is doing everything in their power to dodge CTE and how big of a deal it is. So they're trying to
Mm-hmm.
find any type of technology or any type of resource that can reduce any possible head to head like injuries or pain because players are like you think about it. The NFL has a player, they quarterback. Let's go back a couple years ago when Russell Wilson played. You know exactly where I'm about to go with this. Russell Wilson was playing
When
that
he
game and he was like concussed, but they like
Oh
had
yeah.
him go into that little booth, ask him a couple of questions, and then they tried to get him back on the field, only for him to end up not playing the rest of the game.
Was he
So
with
like
Denver? He was with Denver then, right?
this was when he was with
Was
Denver.
he
Yeah,
yeah, okay. He was
he was.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
either Denver. I want to say it was Denver because
It
it's
was like
like
it was his first year there, right?
right.
When
Yeah.
that shit happened?
Mm-hmm. So I mean, I don't want to. I mean, you want to make sure players are like playing as best as they can to have protection, but it's so you
Mm.
can put all the padding and all of the cushioning in the world. If a player gets a head to head collision, it's a head to head collision. Like I say this because I can get away with saying it. There's a reason I prefer playing basketball over football. I'm I'm good on like, and I mean I had friends who played and they were good. They played. I had one guy play wide receiver was like this big, but was like he would take a hit. He was good, but it's like once you hurt, it's like it's not just a okay. I can get back out on the field and play next week.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, man. Let's see. NBA. We want to talk about some of the free agent deals. Is that cool?
there's so many. Where do we begin?
The Rockets, man. Dylan Brooks, Fred Van Vliet over there. I
as a
mean,
as a representative of the Houston Rockets, it's still gonna be a long season.
I don't know the contract, but it was some like
Oh, Van
fuck
Vliet got like Van Vliet got a max deal. He didn't get a
yeah.
super max, but he got a max.
What's your thoughts on all that?
I mean, I think Van Vliet is gonna he's this is gonna show if it was like okay, he made the All Star, he did this thing, did these accolades in Toronto. Can he help lead a team? Because whether we want to call it that or not, Houston is, I mean, not Houston, but the Western Conference is still a powerful, a heavy conference. You still got
Mm-hmm.
the Golden States. You still got even if they may or may not have the greatest season, Utah can sneak in there. Um, Sacramento, we now know Sacramento can bring it. Um, I mean, injuries or not, one of if not both LA teams can get in. So I say all that to just say like with Houston having the team they have, and of course let's not even ignore Dallas because Dallas is still a good team. Um, I think this year we're gonna really see like that backcourt, but as far as it goes with like I don't Dylan Brooks, I just hope Dylan Brooks works on his like just his all around game. Not just I don't care about players in the NBA today having a jumper, but I want you to at least be able to back up whatever your
This
strong suit is.
Do you see that video of LeBron talking shit to him and then dunking?
Yeah. I mean but he woke the bear. He was like, I mean,
that,
he's not gonna score any
that shit
points.
was
I'm
fun.
like
That shit was funny, bro.
that 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 comment is what literally got him out of Memphis. That just kind of set him up to say, all right, let's let him go. We'll move
LeBron
on and
was
figure out
like,
what we're gonna do.
LeBron was like, bet. Watch this, bro.
Right. I mean, LeBron plays at LeBron literally plays at a high. He plays at a high, calm level now. Like he doesn't have to go out and do 101 things anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't. This I got one for you because I don't know if you had saw this story or not. How do you feel about AD getting the money that he got?
Oh man, that's a complicated. I see why they did it,
Mm-hmm.
because if they don't do it, then they're not going to win a title, and they're not going to make LeBron happy, and
Right.
then they're gonna.
He could.
It's
The
just
chance
it's
of
just
him.
it's just yeah. The team needs to do it to stay relevant.
Right. I mean,
So I
he
can
had a
see
big
why
chance
they
of
did it.
walking.
It's kind of the same reason why the Celtics did. Was it Jalen
Jalen
Brown?
Brown. Yeah, a couple of friends in my sports
Similar.
group didn't like that one, which I was kind of laughing like,
I actually like that one more than the Davis one, in a weird way.
nah. Dave Brown is a more
I
Brown
like
played out of 82 games. You're going to get more games from Brown than you would from Anthony
Yeah,
Davis. I
I like the Brown, the Davis. I mean, would I do it? Yeah, but I would do it like not looking and sign, like
yeah,
sign it without looking.
true.
What do you think about that? Anthony Davis and coming
80
coming back with all those free agent acquisitions down there. I mean,
80 was not a. I mean, it wasn't a shocker because like I was saying, I've had to break this down to people without going too detailed. But who else are you gonna pay the money to on LA?
I
You know what I'm
mean,
saying? Like they didn't have
Austin
Austin
Reeves.
Reeves. I mean Reeves is still. I think Reeves is still rolling out of his rookie contract. Like you gotta know where. Like
Yeah, let's think about this too. As while we're talking about the Lakers, you hear
mm-hmm.
that kid from the Nuggets, Slovenia, got hurt in practice today. He
I
was
did
their
not hear.
backup. Yeah, he was their backup, like backup center, I think. What's his name? I don't know his name, but some like
Mm-hmm.
legit player for the Nuggets, like got hurt. Let's say Austin Reeves gets hurt for the USA team.
Right. Then you put all that money
I'm
into
just,
him, and
I'm just saying.
I mean, let's go back a couple years ago when John Wall got all that money
Yeah, I'm
and
gonna
didn't
look up
play.
this guy. I'm gonna look up this guy. But yeah,
Yeah.
Karkan, I think his name is.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
but on the flip
tore
side, like,
he tore his ACL.
yeah, but also think about it like this too. Do you really need centers in the NBA today?
Hold on, let me just make sure he was the center. I had to get my guy right.
Okay.
I don't want to, people power of editing. Bryan can
Listening.
can Carr,
Okay.
and he's small forward, 6'8", small forward. Oh,
He's not gonna.
He was their second rounder in 2017. Tore his ACL Friday.
So he hasn't been. I mean, for the name to not be known, that means he hasn't really been playing a lot of minutes for the late. He's not. He hasn't been in their main
No,
rotation either.
Nuggets,
Oh, the
yeah.
Nuggets. Okay. I mean,
Yeah, he let's see, how many points per game did he get last year?
probably five.
Not none. But I'm just saying, it's the point
Yeah.
is not the player. The point is the injury.
Right. Yeah.
No, the guy played in
It's a
5 games, but I mean,
right. No, you're right. Yeah, but I think 80. I mean 80. They did what they did. It was a numbers game.
yeah. All right, so I have the list. I have the list here of players with like the highest, offer agreed to.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Grant. We'll go rapid fire here, and you tell me like what your first thoughts on their deal.
Okay.
All right. First one I got for you, Jeremy Grant re-signed with Portland. What's your thoughts on that?
Overdue. They were going to do that one. That was overdue. They wanted to make that move quick.
We talked about Fred VanVleet. What about
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving with Dallas? 3 years, 120 million. Oh my
Two
God, that's a lot.
words.
That's a lot of money.
Two words. No taxes.
That's a lot of money, bro.
But you know him.
I didn't realize it was that much. That's a huge ass deal for Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, but you know he's not. They're not. They don't. You're not taxed in Texas.
Yeah.
So that was what that
I
was
don't
why.
know about that. I don't know about that for Dallas, to be honest.
You
I
don't think
mean,
it's a
I
good deal for him?
I
I
mean,
get it. I get the whole
it's another
Luca
one
and
of those you
Kyrie.
have to. A lot of these teams are kind of, and if you're in the middle or above, like if you're an average team or above average team,
Mm-hmm.
the above average team are the ones that get screwed by this. Is because they have no, they kind of
Because
have
their
to.
coach, Jason Kidd is their coach, right? Trying to
No,
remember.
no, I don't think so. Maybe he is. No, I don't think it's Kid. I know maybe it is. I don't know. Let me look. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Hey, you know your
yeah. So
coach, you know your
yeah, I
coach.
figured it was. I figured so that's important because you got to think about it. He's a point guard. He was a point guard in the NBA. Number one. Number two,
Mhm.
Kyrie. If you the thing with the NBA, and I get John Wall. Ever since John Wall said this, it stuck with me. You want to have one of those two players to be able to run your second unit. So
Yeah.
if I got Kyrie, if I'm giving Luca a rest, because Luca's gonna put more effort into playing than Kyrie, and I hate to say it that way, but that's just what it is.
Mhm.
So if Kyrie
Hey,
can give you a high,
it is what it is, man.
yeah. So Kyrie has a second energy. Him running or handling a second unit would be a much better stint if Jason Kidd can coach that way. Because Kidd is gonna look at it like I gotta win, and it's like you don't need to play both of them trying to get 40 a night. Like both of
Mhm.
them getting 30 or 40 a night is not gonna win for you.
All right, I got a couple more.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do you think about I mean, I already know what you're going to say about Draymond Green, but
Well, overpaid.
I'll ask you anyways. What's your thoughts on Draymond Green coming back at his 4-year, $100 million deal?
I thought Dunleavy was gonna let him walk, but I think they want to try to get one more.
Yeah.
They're pushing to get one more.
And
It's
last one, I'll kind of go down on the list
mhm.
of just as random. What do you think about Kyle Kuzma going back to Washington? I mean, he's definitely gonna be the number
He's gonna
one
be
there.
yeah, he's the guy now between him and you got him and Jordan Poole. So it's kind of his team, but is he ready for that level of spotlight? We don't know.
And
We really don't know.
The Wizards are technically your hometown team. I mean, if you want to be
They would be the
technical.
hometown team, yeah. Yeah, and I haven't been to a Wizards
No,
game
I
in
know, but I'm just
Lord
saying.
knows how long. Like
Hey,
I would have loved to have seen Bill in person before he left, but I mean I can catch him if they come back and play Washington.
last sports question I got for you, and then we'll talk about your podcast at the end. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Um, so what's your thoughts on the Washington Commanders now getting, new ownership and everything? I hear they may change their name again.
They're gonna change the name again. I wouldn't be surprised because the name change they did was a rush. They had to make a name change because naming themselves Washington football team is horrible. So they had to make a quick change and they did like, hey, what do we think was a good option? They threw something out there. They got a designer to come up with the logo. They came up with the jersey concept, kept it moving. As far as the leadership side of it, they were going to do whatever they had to do to get Snyder out of there because Snyder was pretty much imploding the team internally. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
No one can deny it.
So, Bryan, what's going on with the podcast lately? I hear it's making a return with a new host.
So it's kind of a dual-sided conversation. So I took a personal break. I don't mind talking about it now because it's not a big deal. But the lazy version of it is I took a little bit of a recording break, had some personal stuff going on. So I have a friend of mine. She's gonna be a guest. I'm looking to possibly do co-hosting. I just have to find someone that can do this that we can match on a schedule.
Right.
But right now I've been spending more time like the last couple of episodes I've had guests on, and for whatever reason, having guests is just stuck. So I had two entrepreneurs come in. One was doing graphic. Well, actually, both of them were doing graphic and web. One of them is working in IT. So we had like a IT conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Hey,
person that's coming on next week, huh?
I said, hey, bro, if you ever need a guest, I'm just
I
saying,
mean,
man.
yeah,
I know somebody that.
yeah, we overdue. I see that's the adjustment is I'm still trying to learn how to do, which I know I can use Zoom, but I'm trying to find like a resource that can make it like
I'm kidding. I didn't mean to interrupt the IT
no, no, no. Yeah, no,
IT
you
guy.
good. You good. So but yeah, I got somebody coming back to we're gonna kind of get into like it'll be kind of I'll call it like a creative unpack because her and I have talked for a while and saying like, look, you got to come back on the show because we need to finish the conversation we had about this, and this. Like I
There
almost,
was
I'm
there was an episode. I gotta look at the your feed, but I have you on Castbox,
yeah.
and there was an episode of yours that I really liked, and I don't know if it was her or not, but I'll have to. I'm taking a look at your episodes, which everyone can subscribe to wherever they get their podcasts, right?
Yes, sir.
Talk about where people can find it. Where are you guys available? The past podcast.
Yeah, the past BT pod, on literally on every streaming platform, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, iHeartRadio. I'm everywhere. Like I didn't realize. I think I may have shared this on your show before, but my show picked up a very large spike when it
Really?
was an episode. Yeah, I did an episode with, well, not with, but I was talking about Jeff Bezos, and it went
Oh,
it went on
viral.
Amazon. It was literally on Amazon Music. Between Amazon Music
Really?
or Pandora, everybody would play like a snippet of it because it had his name in it. So I got like about that one episode alone has like at least 5,000 listens alone.
Did you keep any of the gain, like subscribers?
I mean, see, and it's so funny because the app that I'm like, I use Buzzsprout to record. So with Buzzsprout, you really don't see. I really haven't seen the subscriber. I'm like, I'll be 100% honest. I couldn't tell you like my subscriber count. Everything that I'm usually looking at is who listens. Like if a
Mm-hmm.
show gets at least, usually I'm looking for most of my shows to get like 20 to 30 listens a show, which for me is perfect. That's like the sweet spot. Of course, I want more, but
I'm,
like as a fellow podcaster, it's hurdles and obstacles with recording. So
yeah, well, the one I was on, that was fun.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That was a couple years ago.
yeah,
That was a good time.
yeah.
Last one I listened to you was I've been hit or miss on the podcast, but I did take a look at the spiritual, or I listened to the Maintaining Spiritual Foundation episode 372.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one. That
Oh, I
was a
feel
good
like
one.
I'm trying to remember. I wonder, I'm trying to
You
think if
had
I
the
have a.
little green look. You had the green looking logo. That was kind of cool. It was the one
Yeah.
after you talked with Tara.
Okay.
The one after
Uh,
that.
got you. You said 372.
Yeah, that was a good one. People should look at that episode. Let's see. What was that was the
Yeah. So
last that was the last one I
that was when they were getting rid of Spotify Live. Um, and then
yeah.
just my connection. It was a lot of like personal. That was like one of those
That was a good
unpacking
one.
shows. Yeah. And
I'm
Tara was my show with Tara probably was one of my faves, low key, because she was very like before we did the show, she was like, I'm not sure what we're gonna talk about because I really don't know how it's gonna go, like what my story is. And I was like, listen, I'll give you good questions that are gonna be like helpful lead-ins to make like good conversation. And it did. Like we had the show rocked for like over an hour, and I was like, all right, you're a natural at this, and I think it's just a matter of getting repetition and getting comfortable with recording. That's all.
Angela. That's it. I was looking all over for this
Oh,
one.
you talking about the year in review?
Long time ago. Yeah, the
Yeah,
one from
yeah.
like 3 years ago.
That was
That
a heck.
I finally found it. That was my opinion, Brian. You can tell
Hmm.
me I'm wrong,
Hmm.
but that was one of your best episodes ever. That was
She wants to, and ironically, I think she wants to come back on the show. Like we kind of had.
how were the downloads on that?
How word
It
it
was
down? That's a
like
good question. That's a good
it was
question.
like a 2 hour thing.
I mean, yeah, like I think that show. Yeah, I was because I was on Buzzsprout by then. Let's see.
It's good catching up with you, man. It's always fun.
Yeah, man. Listen,
I've been putting my episodes on YouTube. Have you seen that?
I noticed you made that transition with
Oh yeah, dude.
because
YouTube.
YouTube's, I mean, you gotta meet your listeners where they are, wherever, whatever source of the option
Yeah,
they
so I
have for
noticed
listening.
my audio listeners have dipped maybe a little, but
Yeah.
I've gained way more on YouTube.
Yeah, that episode had 35 downloads. So yeah, the Jeff Bezos episode was 5,143.
Way that's a crazy comparison.
Mm-hmm. And it was like I said, all I did was, I think it's because they had the title. All I was talking about was the fact that he was, and which I still don't believe is the case, that he was stepping down as being as being the CEO or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Last question I got for you.
okay.
What's your favorite thing about podcasting?
That it's a whether, and I can't speak for others, but personally, podcasting is like a live journal. And what I mean by that is whether I have guests on, whether it's me talking, it's literally whatever I say or whatever is saved or whatever publicly goes live. I can put it out there how I feel about whatever that thing is. And not everyone can articulate that in their own form. And I personally have found that that's what's kept me enjoying what I do with podcasting. Like I'll tell this as a story, and it's like even 3 years later, it's still mind blowing. So before that year in review podcast, I had a friend of mine come on the show,
You're talking about
and we did it.
2020, right?
This is in 2020. Yeah, he came on the show, and the show was 2.5 hours long. Probably now, in my opinion, that was probably one of my favorite episodes because it was one of the first times that I did a episode where, and I'm saying this on your show, and I don't even think, I mean, I've never talked about this publicly on the show, but he was one of the few instances where we were having a conversation about different things. And I threw it to him to talk about what he was doing. And literally while he was talking, I went to the bathroom and came back. And no one knew that it happened because it was that consistent with still him talking. And like, I was, of course, the bathroom and the mic were far enough away from each other where you didn't hear like a flush or anything. And even if it was, where if you know how to record a podcast, you know how to edit. You can clean up anything to remove certain stuff. Like I always tell people this is like a tip with recording. If you prefer to have shows be recorded live as is, that's fine. But you get better results you have better control of your audio if you record it, edit, listen to it, take out whatever you need to, clean up whatever you need to get it shared to your listeners. But
Yeah.
that was a show that like we talked. I
Mhm.
mean, we talked about a whole lot of stuff on that show, and I was at that time um I was still doing like outlines and asking questions. Like I don't like when I get people on the show now, I don't even use I'll have a notepad if I need to, but most of the time I'm able to just ask questions just freely, and it doesn't make the person feel like, oh, I don't know what you're gonna ask. I feel like you're gonna ask me something uncomfortable. It's never been like a big deal. I want to say in
Yeah,
2022 I started that.
I had you on the last time you were on this podcast was December 16th,
Yeah.
2022. It was pass and rebound.
Yep.
So we talked about the NBA, of course, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what you've been up to.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but now, so you've heard of Angie Martinez, right?
Yeah.
If you get a chance, go back
IRL,
and
right?
yeah, IRL. So her podcast is fire. But before she was doing the podcast, she had an interview that she did with J. Cole, which to this day I think is one of the best interviews ever.
A
That
lot of people are starting to name drop him more as GOAT status. I've heard that at least on this podcast. No, I've heard it on this podcast.
Yeah,
Um, I forgot who, but some people mention him in the GOAT status. So
I think he's in that conversation. He's at the table. I mean, I don't.
you could introduce him to the dinner table.
Yeah, I mean, he's earning his cred. Like, but he did an interview with Angie Martinez, and
Mm,
I loved that interview because it was one of the first times where I saw someone ask someone questions, and she didn't have like she had a notepad to kind of write some stuff down,
yeah.
but everything was so freestyle, and I was like, I want to find a way to use that method. And for after when she first started IRL, she had Mary J. Blige on, she had Kelly Clarkson on, she had
Oh, I remember
Lauren
that.
London.
I
Yeah,
remember
like
that, you know.
everybody, if you go back and listen to or look at those interviews, especially on YouTube, no notes, no questions. Like she just asked them general questions and it opened
Mhm.
up dialogue. I think even though I'm not a big fan of his, Joe Budden, like they had a good conversation on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
What is he? Is he another interview podcast? Does he have? What's his show
he's
about?
a. I mean, his is more now like just what's going on in it. It's almost like pop culture. Like they
Yeah.
talk about whatever's going on and trending at the time. And I mean, they're recording twice a week. They went through like a lot of shakeups with different people being added on the show, removed from the show, stuff like that.
That's
But
every show though, Brian. I mean,
it
even
is, but
I mean, I've been running this by myself, but I mean, I've had changes where I don't do it as much.
mhm,
I've
same. No, absolutely. I've done. I think
done
it was one point I was doing like month. I was doing like I'm saying, man, I'm about to do
yeah,
this monthly.
I used to just
But
like weekly and like would do episodes that weren't with people, and I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna do it, bi-weekly or maybe even monthly.
yeah,
I understand all that, you know what I mean?
yeah. But with their show, it was just I didn't really. I mean, I'm not a podcast. I don't drop like I don't gatekeep podcasts and I don't look at who's better, who's worse. I just look at it as like how can we all become more lucrative. Like the biggest thing now, which I've kind of let it go because I know it's like a whole process, is just trying to find a way to like profit from it. But I've kind of I like
I,
teeter and totter with that too.
I've told you Podcorn, right?
I think you did, and I get notifications for it, but I'm always like
I
forgetting to
got
sign
a
up.
I got a ad for it. You get small dollar ads.
Yeah.
Like I got um a pre-roll ad for one of my episodes probably last month.
Hmm.
Smart labels, giving them a free ad now. I'm
Yeah.
just so no, but what I'm saying is they give you a couple bucks and
Yeah.
you understand how that platform works. You send the
Hmm.
audio file through and then they approve it and then the money, and of course there's a fee. Obviously,
Right.
it's just there's you know, a transaction fee.
Yep. So before I was on Buzzsprout, I used to be on Spreaker, and I told like this was one of the biggest reasons I left Spreaker.
But
Spreaker,
can you still get your podcast on Spreaker though?
I took. I mean, I when I moved it over to
Let me
Buzzsprout,
take a
everything
look.
moved over.
Let me take a look.
Everything moved over, so I was able to get everything back, thankfully. But no, so like
Spreaker.
the show literally they would hard bake like audio at the beginning, and I was like, I don't really know if I want this ad to be pushed to people that I'm not really aware of. I mean, yeah, I
Right,
got a little bit of
right.
money from it, but I
You did?
wasn't. Yeah, I got like a couple. I mean, I got like about maybe 10. I think total I had about like 10, $15 from it. So
That's not
I mean,
bad.
it moved, but I was also like not.
Oh, Spreaker is bought by iHeartRadio.
Oh, I didn't even see. That's how long it's been because I haven't even been on their site.
iHeartRadio owns them or bought them or whatever. They're together.
They interface.
I actually do pretty well on iHeartRadio.
No, iHeartRadio is a solid
No, but
platform.
my podcast does pretty well on. I wouldn't say it does great, but
Yeah,
I think I usually get a download or two from iHeartRadio every episode. So shout out
yeah.
to the person listening on iHeartRadio right now.
iHeartRadio, yeah, right. Give them their flowers. Nah,
Yeah.
facts.
No, man. So where can people find you, bro?
They can check me out on the Pass BT Pod. That's the Pass PASSBT Pod. Right now, and I'm telling y'all this because I ain't got no shame saying it. I predominantly do a lot of content more on TikTok.
Really?
Yeah, so believe like we haven't. I am probably going to get a lot of fans upset because I am kind of teetering out of the social media addiction now. So
No.
like
Are you on Threads?
I'm on so it's funny, I have Threads, but Threads is connected to my personal account, but I don't really use Threads. Like I really didn't Threads kept my attention for a little bit, but I'm kind of over that too. Like Threads, I don't use the other app. I'm not gonna name it because I'm just not a fan of Elon. Um I'm still on Facebook, but I don't have like Facebook. I don't have a podcast link for my Facebook page because I don't use it that often. Like the only reason I have my Facebook page literally is for four groups that I manage. I manage a music group, a sports group,
Mm-hmm.
a men's group, and a
Mm-hmm.
tech group. And that's it. Like the other groups, I'm in them, but they're not my they're not my babies. Like
Hey Brian,
those four.
do you want me to tell you a loophole that I found when I was signing up for Threads?
Okay.
The only way you can get rid of your Threads account is if you get rid of the linked Instagram account with it.
Right.
That's why I didn't put my personal account with Threads, because I want to get rid of it. And like
Mhm.
I mean, if I do want to get rid of it, I don't. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, if I want to get rid of Threads, I can just get rid of Threads and then change my podcast account handle,
Right.
and do a rebrand.
Yeah. I'm.
A lot of people weren't aware of that. I'm like,
Mhm.
of course they're gonna link the two together. They're not dumb.
Yeah.
They're
I
gonna
don't. I
get you.
mean,
They want to get you to stay somehow.
yeah. I mean, if it comes down to it, the simple solution is just delete the app altogether. Like, I'm
Oh yeah, like keep it, but just don't go on there. Yeah.
just don't use it. Yeah. Like you're and this goes back to my social media rant, and I'll bring this up. Like, I know I was doing promo and plugs, but the reality is there are businesses have relied a lot on social media to promote them, which is nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
However, tomorrow all of those apps can shut down. And then the question becomes, how do you get your business out there? And most people don't know or don't realize like the way to do it, which is um email, cold email, um, logos, like any branding,
Mhm.
a website. And if you have someone that knows how to do it, or if it's something you're open to attempting to make a thing, building or creating developing an app, like a simple app for your whatever it is you're promoting. Because then that way you have your own application developed. They can go to the app to support you and not have to find you through a platform where you got to go through, like, everyone's doing it on their page. They use beacons, they use Linktree, they use flow code,
I use
using all
Linktree.
these.
I put all my
Yeah.
podcast links on Linktree.
And they're good for that. But the problem is you then have to put yourself in a position of, do I want to get a pro account to like see
Oh
what
no,
my
I don't do
metrics are?
that. I don't do that.
Some people do though. They'll spend the money to get like to
I
the going back to the point of like the platforms. It's like everyone wants you to do real, like real Meta or real Instagram, where they want you to give your ID, or Twitter is, hey, if you want to get your account verified so you can get a blue check. It's it's nothing wrong with using those options if it can get you the exposure you need. But if it's not gonna put you, or don't even get me started on Facebook Boost. I have a huge love-hate relationship about boosting posts.
That can be the next episode, Bryan.
Yeah, no, I got you. But no, I'm just saying all that to say, like I said, majority of the time, which I still need to upload. I got a 10-minute video. But yeah, the past BT, it's either the past BT or the past BT pod is I literally record videos on TikTok, and if I'm feeling good and it's worth it, I'll post it on Facebook too. I mean on Instagram, which sends it to Facebook.
You need to listen to my episode with the real life of Joe.
Okay.
She's really awesome. You should take a listen to her episode with me. And
Okay.
there's a few others that she gets it. Her Instagram name is Joe Baby Joe.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one.
Got you.
But
Okay.
no, you should take a look at her show. She reviews music albums basically, and
Okay.
songs from people. They like submit stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Send me the link and I'll check it out.
yeah,
I can do that.
I'm sure she would, check out the pod. All right, Bryan, as always, thank you so much for doing this. You're always
Yeah,
up for
man.
it, and I always appreciate it. Thank you.
Not a problem, man.
Anything else on your mind? Anything we need to talk about before we end this?
Just do the right thing, do right by people, man. That's it. Literally,
All right, man.
that's my go-to.
Take care, everybody.
All right
Adios.
now. Adios.